Hey everyone, it's Istebrak. I wanted to introduce you guys to my last brush set that I'll be releasing for a while, and this is the master brush set. This is the one that you guys see on the screen a lot, and it's an accumulation of other brushes that I also customized. So some of these I've combined over the last month and really worked on them, perfected exactly how much pen pressure I want in size and in transfer, which is the opacity. So these are combinations of many other brushes that I've used. And really, I designed all of these around a really specific idea, which is preserving the grain and the texture. The grain is what's left behind, the pattern left behind. The texture is usually found on the edges of the brush stroke, how grainy it is, how much texture you actually see in there, while keeping it blendable. Now that's very difficult to achieve in a brush set because typically you want, if you're going textured, you're going textured. If you're going soft, fully rendered, photorealism, you're going for that. Something in the middle gets to be a little difficult if you're sticking with like 3 or 4 brushes through the whole painting process. So what I did to counter that is I kept texture minimized on the inside of the, like in the area of the brush, but on the parameters of the brush on the outside, usually you'll find a lot of my brush strokes have a serious grit and texture to them, which allows me to manipulate the brush on different angles and get the texture that I want. Now, something that I did to ensure that I can maximize the realism while I'm attaining all this grain and texture and blendability is by keeping the brush in the shape of the eye socket. That's a very definite teardrop shape. You can also find that shape in the nostril, you find it on the lips. So that having that teardrop shape really allows me to get a brush stroke that renders as soon as I lay down a brush. So that means that with one stipple or one brush stroke, I get to get the general shape of the eye socket and then just jump into rendering the eye instead of having to draw the shape of the eye socket. So all of these brushes cast a shadow, if you will, and through their shape, through their silhouette, I get to achieve all this efficiency as I'm painting. It comes with so much mechanics, but it's really good at staying out of the way. And it's not a brush that demands your attention as soon as you lay it down. It's not squared like my dry oil brushes, which are some things that I use either to block in the early stages or to push into render if you shrink them just a little bit. But these are the ones that you finish the painting with. These are that's why I call them the master set, because they really help me push the rendering as far as I need it to. They don't stay in the way. My dry oil brushes, if you've bought them, they're amazing for getting the initial brushstrokes down, making sure you're blocking in all the geometry and all the anatomical geometry, but they're not really there for you. They really demand a lot of your attention if you're trying to blend in and achieve all this softness in the face. So these brushes are definitely designed for that. Now this painting that you're seeing the process right now is something that a recent sketch that I did, and it was a bit of an exploration really. It had a lot of difficulty in certain areas, mostly because I had a reference and then I moved away from the reference at the end and kind of just did my own thing. The reference didn't have a cast shadow and I really wanted a cast shadow, so I got a cast shadow in. And really what I'm doing here is I'm showing you how these brushes, how durable they are. They really are the only brushes that I can really depend on in this kind of late game kind of painting time frame. When the painting is ready to be finished and you're really pushing the realism as far as possible, you need a brush that you can shrink that can still perform and a brush that you can keep large that can still perform for you if you have some late game edits. So what these brushes are really good for is just lasting throughout the entire time. They stay nice and out of your way, and they stay very easy to manipulate with the paint. And right now this painting is nearing its end, and the most important thing really about this late game stuff is being able to zoom back out, enlarge your brush and zoom back in. If you're constantly changing between brushes, which is something I hate to do because it slows me down, then the zooming out, change your brush, zoom back in, change your brush, all of that slows me down. And what I want to do is I have a clear image in my mind of where I want this painting to go. I want nothing to slow me down. So in their grain, their tapered edges, their texture, their blendability, and their general shape, the silhouette of the brush itself, are all really friendly for this kind of to achieve this kind of efficiency. and achieve this kind of finish later on. They have the softness that you require, but they also don't have that cheesy commercial purely soft brush kind of clean look, which you can hate very quickly. It has no tangible texture to it, so it leads me into thinking that I need to just get another texture and overlay a texture if I paint with a brush that's too soft. These brushes, as you go, they leave behind the texture that you want there in the painting, so you don't have to imitate a false texture later on. You want material that reflects the grain and the grit left behind in traditional media, and this is what these brushes are designed to do. They're all blendable. They all have preserve their texture very, very well throughout the painting, no matter what you're doing, if you're over blending, if you're bringing in contrast. And me, as you know, I bring in contrast very, very late. So again, I hope these brushes help you guys as much as they help me. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for your support. All those who have purchased my brushes from before, thank you very much for your support. I hope those brushes help you. These are going to be the last brushes I release for a while, and that's really all I have. I only have my dry oil and my skin and blending brushes. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day. Bye bye.